Hey now, it's Mike Gilbert, host of the Mike and JD Show, right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Join JD by God Oliva and myself every Thursday night live on the Voices of Wrestling YouTube channel at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we stay up all night discussing all the hottest stories in professional wrestling. You can also check us out right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting feed, or you can subscribe to the Mike and JD Show feed. Now, enjoy the show.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Wednesday the 6th of November 2024. This is episode 335. And Damon, I know you don't want to talk about this. You begged me not to, but I think we have to. We owe it to our listeners. And yeah, it is a dark day for all of us. And you know what I'm talking about. And look, I'm sure we got some listeners out there who like the guy and are happy to see him have his comeback back to the summit. But let's be honest, most of us were waking up this morning, checking our phones, seeing the news, and being sick to our stomachs, thinking, how the fuck has this happened? How has this man managed to get to the top, in spite not only his singular incompetence at the job, but the laundry list of accusations and crimes, just the utter discord, disharmony he causes among us. And it's only going to get worse from here, Damon. I genuinely feel this is the beginning of the end for all of us. So I do apologise to all you listening who support him, but it just disgusts me to turn on the news and see that vile orange sex pest goblin with his shit hair having somehow wormed his way to the top. He's there now. We need to talk about it, Damon. Your thoughts, please, on Shota Umino being in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. Ugh.
I was waiting for the punchline, baby. Woo! Yeah. Well, listen. In both cases, the people have spoken, I guess, right? All right. The people have spoken. Yeah, it's been a crazy week, right? It's been a crazy week. I think everyone would agree. I think a lot of people are kind of happy that at least we're not going to get pounded with 950,000 political ads, whether it be via text or email or on your television screen. Yeah, listen, I mean, people spoken, Joel. The people have spoken. All right.
You know what I want to talk about?
What's that, man?
This lovely Ambonic handheld retro gaming device you sent me. Because it's bringing me so much joy. I'm having an absolute blast with it. I think I'm having equal fun setting it up as I'm actually having playing it. So having these ideas, thinking, oh, can I make it do this? Can I get this game running? Can I get this function to work? And just playing around with it, and it's not quite working, and then sort of looking up solutions and trying to crowdsource it. How do I get this to work? And then trying something that doesn't work, trying another thing. And then when you finally get it to work and do the thing or play the thing that I wanted it to play, that satisfaction is just like, oh, yes, I did it. Just
I'm like, a hacker.
Yes, yeah, I feel like a hacker. Like just getting things like the Streets of Rage remake to work, because that popped into my head. Oh, because I was playing Streets of Rage 2, Streets of Rage 3, and then I thought, oh, why don't I try to get the Streets of Rage remake? So I had to fuck around with the ports and try and download Port Master. And that wasn't working because the newer version wasn't working. So I downloaded an older version of that, and then it started working, and I got it running, and I was just like, yes, I'm like Boris from GoldenEye. I'm invincible. I was just having an absolute blast with it.
I love it. That's
rewind.
Awesome.
The rewind function I was telling you about. Like we've all fucked around with save states, I'm sure, where you save your game and then you play a bit more and you fuck something up, so you reload the save state. But now getting the function where you can just rewind it a few seconds. So like you're playing as Mario, fall down the hole. Oh shit! Just rewind it a few seconds. Have another go. It's so good.
I love it. Good. I'm glad. Like I said, I mean, when I got the Steam Deck, that thing just started collecting a little dust, and not I felt bad for an inanimate object, but I was like, just kind of sitting here going to waste. And trust me, there are times where I was just like, I'll just chuck it up on eBay, whatever I get for it, or whatever I get for it. No, I'm glad that you got A, you got it pretty quick, and B, I'm thrilled that you're loving it. And it's almost like you get yourself a little new hobby. Your kids haven't taken a bath in about a week, but
they love it as well.
Yeah,
one of my favorite things about it is just exploring the world of ROM hacks. So where people have hacked into games to just make little quality of life improvements, whether it's just something as basic as fixing translation issues or getting rid of annoying aspects of the game, or like one of the Pokemon games. I'm playing one of the classic ones where they've just hacked it to put all of the Pokemon in rather than just the old ones. You get sort of a handful of them exclusive to the red version and another handful exclusive to the blue, of just putting them all in and just having all these little things that just make it a much better experience than actually having the original game on the original console.
Yeah. I mean, NHL 94, 95, 96, that whole series was, my college years was playing that fucking game constantly and having tournaments and all that nonsense. But there are people now that will, update to modern day rosters. So the game is, using current players and different other historic years in the league. It's really fucking amazing what people can do. And then there's another game called Tecmo Bowl football game that we played all the fucking time. And again, people update that with modern rosters and modern teams. And it's just, people are so fucking talented. I hate it. I hate it because it's like I can't do anything. How do you people figure? Hey, how do you?
Yeah, how have you done this? What is this sorcery?
Right. Like, not only how did you do it, but like the fact that you're driving to work or you're whatever, and it's just like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do blah. I'm going to have this game, but make it do these things. Yeah, it's amazing. It's fun, and just having all those different consoles at your fingertips is pretty cool. I mean, you're not having any problems getting games, right? You have all these games, Joel, right? And you've just made a copy of it for your own personal backup, right, Joel?
Yeah, absolutely. I own all of the originals. I have the hard copies for my legitimate consoles, and definitely
right. But it is amazing.
Any that are not, I've reported to the authorities, so it's
good. You're a good citizen. It's an amazing. Like when I got it, I was just like, I used it all the time. But now, like I said, just kind of when I got the Steam Deck, it's that became it. And trust me, it's not like I can play it every day and all that. But yeah, when you just get a little window, a little pocket of time, and you have the energy to do it, because I'm the king of, I have free time. Oh, that just means I'm going to stare at a wall for fucking 2 hours, But when you get it and you start getting into it, it's really great. Really fucking fun. Good for you. I'm glad you're having a good time with it.
I've got all little accessories for it now as well. Like I bought a little headphone jack so I could plug in my good headphones whilst playing it, because there's some games where you need the full immersive music experience. Tekken 3, oh my goodness, like the PlayStation version, the soundtrack of Tekken 3, that deserves to be listened to properly through headphones. One day, right, Andrew Rich is going to get in touch with me and we'll do the episode of his podcast about video game music, and
let's go.
It will be great.
Come on. I would tune into that in a heartbeat. That would be so fun. But very
I'll put it on the Patreon.
Now you're talking. There has been. Can we discuss? There has been a little internal behind the curtain discussions of another tier of the Super J Cast. And I think just these preliminary talks and chats have been very interesting, and the possibilities out there. So we're talking about it. I know we said we would never do it, but when
I think our hand has been forced. It's not. I don't want to talk too much about it, but someone else is sort of, for a very good reason, prodding us in that direction to do it and move away from Red Circle. And they're right, and we should be doing it. And maybe that's like the kick up the backside we need to be, putting some more stuff out there. And it might just be to relocate the Delhi funds elsewhere, or maybe I might get creatively inspired and want to actually offer some new content. So please do get in touch, listener, if you would be interested in extra content. I'm not saying that I will do it necessarily,
Right.
but just tell me the sort of stuff that you'd be interested in listening to, and I'll throw it on the list and have a think about it.
I mean, I will say this, that I think that access to the deli is, I mean, if you're a fan of this product, I mean, that would be maybe more important than the electric bill for me, just because, the stuff that you share and we're able to post and able to, if you really want some insight into what's going on in New Japan Pro Wrestling and, good discussion, to me, that's worth a couple bucks.
Massive storyline spoilers.
Yes, we've been there. And again, we do try to, just kind of tease little things and throw little hints and shit, and sometimes during the shows. But I would say the good juicy stuff is and it has been for quite a while. If you've noticed, we're not tweeting out shit. We just don't give a fuck about that. So we'd rather just let you know that it's there. And I do get nervous when we talk about financial stuff when it comes to producing content, because, I want people to get value. The last thing I would want to hear is, oh, it's really not worth it. Because I don't think that's true. But there is that pressure of, okay, I want to make sure that people are getting their money's worth. I think that's very important. So
I don't. I want there to be no obligation on our part. I want it to be framed as you are giving us money because you like what we do.
That'd be great.
And you're just showing some appreciation. And maybe if we feel like it, we might throw some bonus stuff your way.
Yeah. I mean, I like that.
I don't want to commit to anything. I don't want to be like, I'm going to do a bonus podcast every week, because
I'll hate my life.
Hating it, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll hate whenever day I have to do that. I'll be like, oh, what the fuck? I got to do that now. Yeah. So, and I don't want to.
But I might be in the mood like this. I might have a Sunday afternoon where I'm bored and think, you know what, I'm going to put out a 2-hour podcast of me doing my top 10 video game music tracks.
Right. Like that would be something I would do. Like if the mood strikes, and guests, and just quick half-hour spot, talk about whatever, and even like emergency pods where there's some news and we can quickly discuss and whatever. We'll figure it out. Trust me. But know that there has been discussion. And I think at the very least, I think we're both excited for the possibilities of it. So there you go. We'll give you that. We'll give you that little nugget.
All right. Let's talk about Power Struggle then.
All right. Well,
this was taking place at the sorry, I don't know why I paused there. The Osaka Prefectural Gymnasium, the Edion Arena. Now, the attendance. Let's talk about that. 3,773. So I'm going to give you some other events in the same venue to compare it to. So Battle Autumn 2022, headlined by Ospreay versus Naito, 4,006. New Beginning 2023, headlined by Okada versus Shingo, 4,055. Power Struggle last year, headlined, but no, not last year. Yes, last year. Power Struggle last year, headlined by Ospreay versus Shota Umino, 4,046. New Beginning 2024, headlined by the Dog Pound Steel Cage match, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Danielson, Okada versus Tanahashi. That was 5,327. G1 Night 1 this year, Shingo versus Naito, Takeshita versus Tsuji, 4,177. So this is falling behind those. So by a fair chunk. I mean,
yeah,
about 300 fewer than those first few I mentioned, with Ospreay, Naito, Okada, Shingo, people like that. So it's not a number, I don't think it's disastrous or anything. I just think this is the natural consequence of losing your big stars and trying to build new stars. This is what's going to happen. And they could have tried to pop a number by having Naito in the main event, but they didn't. That's not what they wanted. So I'm okay with the number. I don't think it's alarm bells, but I think this is something that we're going to have to get used to as we're moving away from the old tried and tested stars and trying to build up new guys.
Right. Eventually, this day would come, and we were all kind of, pining away for it. And you're right. But here's the thing too: as much as the number might be a disappointment, that doesn't necessarily mean that future shows will be. I always try to kind of temper it with a little bit with, you can't judge it just by one show because there could be just a myriad of other factors that go into why that isn't the case. It doesn't necessarily mean that the person isn't a draw or is a draw that's up top or anything like that. That being said, you can't get overly excited when you have a guy that delivers a great house or unexpected house, and you can't be too finger waggy with one show that doesn't necessarily meet past year's numbers. It's disappointing. I know the office is disappointed, but I think these you nailed it. These are, if we're being serious about making future stars, eventually they have to be put in the positions to make a show. And I think there's plenty of time for that. I really do. So again, the number disappointed? Yeah, of course. But again, I wouldn't read too much into that. Now, if there's a consistent trend of that, then okay, yeah, we gotta ask some questions. But as of right now, no, I think I'm okay with the number. If we dipped in what was the final number you said was for what? Like for
3,773.
Yeah.
That's not great.
No, it's not a great number.
For your Wrestle Kingdom Go Home show. And I'm going to be honest, I'm starting to side-eye Zack Sabre Jr. and his drawing ability. Because we're starting to rack up, and I'm not saying this is Zack's fault, we're starting to rack up consecutive disappointing gates with him in the headline spot.
Yeah. I mean, you're counting Royal Quest in that?
Yeah. And King of Pro Wrestling.
Right. Yeah. I mean...
And no, look, there's other mitigating factors there. I'm not saying that these numbers are bad and it's because of Zack that they're bad, but numbers don't lie.
Right. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
And honestly, right, I'll tell you, we'll come on to this later, but I'm a little bit anxious about Wrestle Kingdom.
Me too.
Now, actually, having said that, I shouldn't really care what numbers it does. At the end of the day, I'm watching the product because I want it to be exciting and creatively satisfying and dramatic. The numbers that they do, it's not really that important to me, but
it's important to me.
Worth tracking.
You don't think it's an important factor?
It is. It's not unimportant, but it's not my priority when analyzing the product.
It's not, and for me, it's not like if you were going to put it in sections. It's probably not. It doesn't get a bigger piece of the pie than other things. But I think it's important only in the sense of, okay, if I'm enjoying it, here's a perfect example. I'm enjoying what New Japan is doing right now, right? And I have confidence in it, and I feel good about it. And when I turn it on. And especially when I turn it off, I feel like, okay, I got my money's worth. If the company, though, is seeing a diminishing return on the profitability of said shows, they're going to pivot, right? And they might get a little.
Like they're running out of things to pivot to. I think this is just the reality now of the post Okada, post Ospreay. Naito winding down like this. This is the hand that they've been dealt. This is the roster that they've got, and I think they're doing the best that they can with it. And we will just have to accept these numbers for what they are as we're in that rebuilding process.
Right. I mean, I'm with you. Trust me, I'm with you. But you don't think there are people in the office right now that are like, just fucking make it, Naito Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom. Obviously, I'm giving you an extreme example, but you get my point. Again, I just don't want them to make a panicky decision. I don't think they will, and I don't think they are doing that. But that's always in the back of my mind of, okay, even though I like it, and even though this is great to me, doesn't necessarily mean that they'll continue on if the numbers aren't there.
Well, no.
Right.
They run out of things to pivot to. I think this is just the reality now of the post Okada, post Ospreay, Naito winding down. Like this is the hand that they've been dealt. This is the roster that they've got, and I think they're doing the best that they can with it. And we will just have to accept these numbers for what they are as we're in that rebuilding process.
Right.
My
again, if the people don't show up, that's a prime indicator that whatever they're doing, even though I'm enjoying it, the masses aren't. And at the end of the day, that's the thing that keeps the lights on.
I don't think we're anywhere near that point yet, though, are we? We're seeing a slight dip in the year that two of the biggest stars have left.
I'm with you. Listen, I'm not hitting any panic buttons, but again, I do have my eye on it. I will say that.
Okay, let's talk about the first match. There's a kickoff match with Ninja Mac, DKC, and Yo defeating the team of Shoma Kato, Capitan Suicida, and Tiger Mask. It was DKC pinned Shoma Kato after 6 minutes 55 seconds. Little interesting thing going on backstage with Ninja Mac receiving clandestine phone calls, talking to his master, talking about his partnership with the DKC and how it will be better once the master returns. So, do you think any of these guys, not just Ninja Mac, but I'm thinking Capitan Suicida, let's just focus on those two. Have they done enough for you to warrant a callback?
Doing worse. I mean, what plans would you have for those two specifically? Like, are you putting them in a tag situation? Are you having them challenge? Like, what would be the upside for the company?
Fun on the card opening match fodder.
Okay. How much you want to invest in that?
Not much.
Right. Okay.
Ninja Mac, I'm saying he'd be if you're paying for your own flights,
right,
we'll find a spot for you kind of deal.
Staying at a relative's house.
Yeah.
We don't have paying your hotel. Yeah. I mean, listen, if the price is right, I don't have a problem with it. I think, quite honestly, I look at some of the already announced Wrestle Kingdom matches, and it's starting to feel a tiny bit like we're squeezing in 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. But do we need another 2 guys that are going to be as you described? I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I would have no problem if the price is right. But I feel like we already have plenty of people that we don't do a great job of pushing that I would like to see pushed, as opposed to spending money on what in essence would be, curtain jerkers.
Yeah, agreed. First match then was the Bullet Club team, Gabe Kidd, Driller Maloney, Clark Connors, Robbie X, and Taichi Ishimori, defeating the team of Kushida, Kevin Knight, Jude London, Paris De Silva, and Katsuya Murashima. I don't know what Murashima did to upset Bullet Club. But
oh boy.
He's dead. He's dead.
He took everything. He took stuff that was new. He took so much stuff. He is dead. I mean, a lot of times I've been in situations in locker rooms where guys are just like, yeah, hit me with this and hit me with that, and I'm taking everything everybody's got, and it'll be hilarious and blah blah blah. I mean, maybe it was that situation where he was more than willing to take everything they had.
I bet he loved it. I would love to do that. If I was young London, I'd be like, fuck yeah, just
give me everything.
All of you hit me with your finishes. It's going to rule.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if that was, kind of a discussion point back before the matches started. So, it was fine. Again, there's a lot to squeeze in a match of that many people with that little time, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was all right.
The second match then was the LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu, Tsuji, and Naito defeating the Clown Car team of Dragon Dia, Ryusuke Taguchi, Tomoaki Honma, and Toru Yano. I always love Honma's backstage promos. He's talking about earning a spot in World Tag League now. Okay. No matter what he's doing, whatever the tour is, whatever spot he's in, he's always in like sort of opening like undercard multi-man tag matches where he's doing nothing or eating pins, and he's always trying to spin it out as a little narrative, being like, if I just get some pins here, I can establish my claim to be in the Fighting Spirit Unleashed strong
Seattle
openweight tag team title #1 contenders qualified tournament.
Right.
He always tries his best to make it meaningful.
I can make it to Topeka, Kansas for New Japan Strong. Yeah. It's although I will say this, there have been many times on this show where I've had begged the poor man to hang up the boots. He's still going. Again, certainly nowhere near where he was. But and I will also say that I'm probably less afraid of him getting seriously hurt in the ring now than I was previously. I still I'm like, all right. Like, I think I'm at the point where I trust him enough and I trust others enough, even though when he got hurt, it was, you would think, a relatively simpler move. But okay, let's just... That might have been just years of abuse on his body, and it was just that could have been a hip toss, for crying out loud. Anyway, please don't misunderstand me here and think that he's the second coming of fucking Will Ospreay at this point. But he has found a way to construct matches that not only can help protect him, but protect his opponents and others. And opponents might not feel as nervous being in the ring with him. So I'm going to give him that. And that comes with smarts and ring comfortability and experience and all that stuff. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one, in the sense of he's smart enough not to be doing dumb shit that gets me scared that he's going to get himself hurt.
Here's my favorite random fact here. So, in the Super Nintendo JRPG Earthbound, in the Japanese version, so in the English version, there's basically a bit where you need to get an iron eraser to erase something that's blocking your path. But in the Japanese version, it was originally a kokeshi doll, which was a play on words, because the Japanese word for eraser is keshi. So the eraser was the kokeshi keshi.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
That's pretty good.
I regret sharing that, and I don't know. Right, so the biggest talking point coming out of this was backstage, where Naito and Hiromu have decided to team up and enter World Tag League. So Lost in Ube says, so is the Hiromu Naito team in the Tag League the way they get to Hiromu versus Naito on January 4th? Like losing in the Tag League causes a rift or something. So how do you see the Naito Hiromu tag team playing out? And is that a vehicle to a Wrestle Kingdom match?
Well, my first thoughts were, okay, well, who's doing jobs? Like, who's looking at the lights? Like, I can't imagine Naito being a guy where they rely on him losing. All right, you want to say 3 times? Maybe, right? Okay, is who's taking the fall? Is that Hiromu? Maybe they split him up. I don't know if either of those guys are guys that like you go back through World Tag League and it's like Hiroshi Tanahashi and a Young Lion. Oh, okay, the Young Lion's fucking eating all the pins. Oh, it's Okada and Yoshihashi. Okay, well, I guess Yoshihashi taking some pinfalls as well. But for this one, I was just kind of like my first question was in my mind was, okay, well, who's doing jobs? And does that make them front runners for at least making it to semifinals and finals? And is that a vehicle for a match between the two? Maybe there's jealousy, maybe there's frustration, maybe it's whatever the case may be. So the fact that they did tag kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit, in the sense of, okay, well, that makes the possibility of those two having a match seem a little bit more, there are ways to get there if you're going to make them a team, right? So, I think what it did for me is it gave me more questions than answers, but it did somewhat solidify my thought process that's what we might see come Wrestle Kingdom time.
The third match was a tag match with Ren Narita and Evil defeating Oleg Boltin and Hiroshi Tanahashi. There was a nice little tribute from the fans for El Fantasmo, which they'd organised
yeah.
themselves. Yeah, the lights, which was really nice. Narita pinned Bolton after 7 minutes, 26 seconds. So backstage after this, we had Tanahashi and Jado teaming up. They will be entering World Tag League, which, I'm sure that's a replacement. I doubt that was the original plan. I'm sure Tanahashi ELP was their direction before ELP announced he's taken some time off. And then we also got the setup for Ren and Oiwa and Jeff Cobb having a three-way match for the TV title at Wrestle Kingdom. Now, it's a bit odd that they're going back to another three-way. Mm. Like, there's something obviously there where they feel they can't do a singles match between these two guys. They keep having to do the three-ways. There's quite a good promo from Cobb backstage afterwards. He was quite annoyed that Oiwa has just turned up post-excursion and is just demanding all these title shots, never title shot, TV title shot, and is saying he's undeserving of them.
Welcome to New Japan, Jeff. Jesus Christ.
Yes. So yeah, how are we feeling about the three-way Ren and Oiwa and Cobb for wrestling?
Again, this is one of those situations where it feels like we're shoveling the 10 pounds of shit in a 5 pound bag.
Well, look, if you were to put Ren Narita in a singles match for Wrestle Kingdom, then I bet you get a lot more complaining.
Maybe, but it's going to be quick. It's not like you're going to have a fucking 30-minute match. You still have the TV championship time limit rules, right? So it's not going to be that terrible. And I think if you're going to give Ren Narita in the current form any type of singles title, this is the title, because you got a limitation, so it's going to be a crazy sprint. And I don't think that there's anyone that would complain if it were Jeff and Oiwa, right? Like, no one's going to. I think everybody would prefer that. To me, and I want to sit here and say, well, okay, well then now it's a slam dunk. Narita's losing the title, and that's the guy who's going to take a fall. But like, this company has put a lot of effort into him. As much as we want to hand wave House of Torture, the company has put significant effort into the idea of making Ren somewhat of a serious pro wrestler. That said, I don't know if I really, especially a singles title, but I think the match will be very good. I can't imagine it not being. Like, they have a lot of talent in that fucking ring. It's just the idea. I think a lot of people would have preferred a singles match. I do, even if it's Ren versus whomever. But the idea of a three-way, while it isn't top of my list, the talent that's there, I think it'll be good. And again, time limit restriction, so it's gonna be a nice little sprint.
Yeah, I'm glad we found a way for Oiwa to get on the Wrestle Kingdom card as well, even if it might not be in the spot that we would have liked. It's not nothing, so we'll celebrate that. The fourth match was a special singles match with Shota Umino defeating SANADA in 16 minutes and 41 seconds after the Death Rider. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff to unpack with SANADA and Shota in their respective narrative arcs later on in the discussion of this show. But just talking about the SANADA versus Shota match itself, it was really interesting because at first Shota got a fairly lukewarm reception, but then that sort of grew into polite, I'd say mildly enthusiastic reception to him as the underdog against the former world champion in the fourth match on the card. Like, it seems the fans were happy for Shota Umino in that lane, in that spot. And I think this match, and also for the last few weeks, actually, SANADA has done low-key, very good work in healing art recently, just in terms of like the match pacing, shutting down the babyface flurries with his sort of more grounded control segments, brawling in the crowd, big brothering Shota, when he was barking, "Come on," in his face, rejecting the handshake at the end. And I find that iteration of SANADA a lot more interesting than him doing his kind of bland babyface routine. So I thought this match was pretty good. I mean, it's what we said, isn't it? It was just going to be a decent match with a lot of stuff coming out of it. And there was a nice little back and forth at the end. I thought it was, decent match for the spot. So I'm not going to go into what happened with either guy, but just the match itself was good.
I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think, and I'll give you, again, a solid, I don't think it did, but I'm going to ask you, do you think the match did enough to make Shota the star that he needed to be?
No. I'm going to keep that in the holster because I've got a lot to say about Shota later. I think this match did more to set up what they were going to do with SANADA later in the show than it did for Shota. But also, I think, served to highlight the dichotomy of Shota where the fans do like him in a particular spot.
Perfect. You read my mind. You absolutely read my mind in that thought. I thought the match was not bad. It was not great. It was good. I don't think it did what I would have thought the intentions were. In fact, I thought it did a little bit of, not the opposite. That's not the word I'm looking for, but more for SANADA, right? And maybe we needed to do that, but looking at the card, again, we'll talk about it. Like I would have thought that you would need to go all in, but I don't know if they did that. You're right. The crowd, it felt more of we're going to root for the underdog to fucking pull himself out of it, as opposed to I'm rooting for Shota to do this. Did you get that vibe? Because that's the vibe I got.
Yes, it was sort of almost like a Pavlovian conditioning response to just the setup of the match rather than any genuine emotional investment in Shota in that particular spot.
I'm with you. I hate to say it, but I'm with you 1,000%.
All right, then we had the fifth match, which was the IWGP Tag Team Championship match, where the Holy Seaman Army, Henare and Great Khan, defeated TMDK, Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols, 11 minutes, 11 seconds to become new Tag Team Champions. And Mikey Nichols and Henare, what a pair of fucking idiot meatheads they are. What are they doing? Oh, my goodness. Just smashing each other's heads in, doing the full shibata. Going to have to get their brains removed. I love them. I love those guys. I love to see Great Khan absolutely ragdolling Shane Haste around the ring. And Shane took some big bumps here. Like there's a bit of a narrative going around about Shane saying that he's sort of phoning it in and kind of giving up and just downing around. But I don't buy that. I think he's actually low key working very hard. And I thought he took a lot of big bumps here and made Great Khan look good. And yeah, this was fun. Just like a really kind of violent sprint. There's a lot of aggression, intensity. And I think for everything I've criticised TMDK for this tag title run being a big nothing burger, they started to put it together by the end of the run. Yeah. And I'm very interested to see what they do during World Tag League. I don't know if this is going to be the classic champions losing the belts so they can go and win the tournament and do the comeback thing, because it is TMDK season. So let's acknowledge that as a possibility. But I'm a big fan of the Holy Seaman Army team. And we've seen them before, but now this is like a new version of it, because we've got Okan, who is a G1 semi-finalist. We've got Henare, who's a recent Never champion. So they're a lot more of a credible team than they have been in previous years. So I think they're a really good fit as champions. And I like the dynamics, and I'm excited to see more stuff. I like the Katsuya Kitamura tribute spots that they do as well, because obviously Okan has a strong connection to him when they were both in the dojo. And this is also notable for a really great promo backstage from Mikey Nichols afterwards, who is smashing his head and reopening the wounds and making blood trickle down his head, talking about how he's thrown away everything and how he's only got the strong titles left and how they're going to do everything they can to defend those at Fighting Spirit Unleashed. So I do appreciate everything that he has done in making these titles feel meaningful, because he has presented it and wrestled and talked about these heavyweight tag titles like they mean the world to him. And often they're treated like an afterthought a consolation prize, but he has made them seem like more than that. So well done, Mikey.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're right. If it does feel like they were able to put some stuff together toward the end of this run. It's a shame, right, that we had to wait that long for this to happen. And I'll be honest with you. You're right. Like those tag titles were treated a bit like an afterthought, and I don't blame the team per se for the struggles that it had out of the gate. I don't think New Japan did them any fucking favors. That being said, Holy Seaman Army, fucking love them. I love that tag team, and especially in this promotion, there is an absolute value and a need and a huge role to be filled. You need that fucking nutty, hard-hitting guys who will put their body on the fucking line and just go out there and beat the living piss out of each other. Like that is a thing in New Japan, right? You're like that's something people look forward to. That's people who they need that fix, and those guys don't grow on fucking trees. It's pretty amazing. The career that like a guy like Ishii's had, when you consider he's been doing it and how long he's been doing it. And Al Hinare and even Gabe Kidd to a degree. And, Shingo, you could put in that category as well. Like guys who are just like willing to fucking like go out there and have a fucking hoss fight. Like that to me, it's a staple. It's like going to a fucking pub and not having Guinness on tap. I don't know. I'm trying to find a fucking analogy. But it's a staple. It has to be there. So I love the tag team. I really do. I love them. And I really hope we see. And it is amazing. Baby steps, right? And if you look back and trace it back, it feels like it's been fucking forever. But they're the incremental baby steps, because you're right. They do feel different, and they do feel more important, and they do feel more of legitimate, right? As a champion. So yeah, I'm with you. We kind of talked about it being a title change, and yeah, I'm excited for it. I dig the tag team a lot. Love it.
And next we've got Kenny Omega coming out and giving fans a preview of his January 5th at the Tokyo Dome. He says he hopes to be back from injury then. And I always love to see Kenny back. I mean, towards the end of his original run, he was starting to get on my nerves a bit. But absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I loved the stuff when he came back and worked with Will Ospreay. And it just obviously the fans still love him. Some people are sort of interpreting this as him burying AEW because he was saying that New Japan is still the king of sports and still got the best wrestling on the planet. I thought what was more telling, it is, what was more telling was him backstage when he said that being here makes me feel like a different person. It makes me feel like I can be the best person I can be. So I do wonder if with Kenny, he's just a bit fed up of the way things are going in AEW, and he is just, as he said, just take him at face value. Feels like he can do what he wants and be himself when he's in New Japan. So there was the story with him getting attacked by Gabe backstage, and a bit of consternation about whether or not this should have happened in the ring to set up the angle rather than happening off camera. But I mean, I can see the value in letting Kenny have his moment in front of the New Japan fans and sort of celebrate that and get some adoration without it directly, immediately leading to an angle there. But it was a bit confusing because there was a lot of talk about Kenny teaming up with Tanahashi to take on the Young Bucks. And I don't know, I've heard that one of the Young Bucks might be injured, and that I've read stuff about there being a bit of a power vacuum backstage after Jimmy Jacobs was fired, and that's meant that AEW's original plans for Wrestle Dynasty kind of messed up from what they had originally planned. So I don't know what's going on that front, but I will say this, that Gabe Kidd being handpicked as Kenny's, presumably his first feud or first opponent coming back from his injury, like what a show of approval. Like that's a huge feather in the cap for Gabe Kidd, who's a guy, not to take a victory lap, Damon, but we've been singing his praises for years, whilst others have been a bit sort of slower and dragging their feet and say, oh, he's a bit of an edgelord or he's a try-hard, whatever. But I would say at this point, Gabe Kidd is undeniable. Like, you cannot ignore the fact that he has been picked for this spot as Kenny Omega's opponent. I mean, that not for nothing, as he would say. And got questions on this. Max says, looks like we might be getting Kidd versus Omega at Dynasty. Do you think it's because the Bucks challenge got zero reaction? Or is it injury with Nick Jackson, as it's been reported? And Rene Esquer says, how much faith does New Japan have in Gabe Kidd for him to be Kenny Omega's first match since December 2023, when they could have easily given us something like Kenny versus Shingo?
Well, one, it is a nice feather in Gabe Kidd's cap. No question about it. It's one of those, I don't know, little put a flag in the sand moments for the guy's career. It's a big deal. I don't think anybody can hand wave it, and I think and there's not a person that's listening to this, I would think, that thinks that it's not an important step in the guy's career. Two, I did hear the comments from Kenny. And, you think back, let's be truthful, like Kenny's best stuff was New Japan related, right? Best matches, that series with Okada was a game changer. And even, just his presence, his aura, I want to say, his ability to make things seem and feel bigger and important. Yes, were there times where you were just like, okay, he's getting a little corny, and okay, great, he's getting a little big for his britches. I can't imagine the pressure and the stress of having to be that wrestler for a new promotion, and at the same time have all the fucking chaos of backstage pro wrestling. And that's without the Punk drama. That's without the Tony Khan craziness. That's without the, okay, we're a wrestling company. Oh, okay, we're a sports entertainment company. Okay, we're a hybrid. Okay, we're this. Okay, all of that. And all the personalities involved. And there is a fuck ton. And I know pro wrestlers love the idea, I think a lot of them do anyway, of being the guy, having the pencil, making sure that their people get taken care of, and all that fucking fun stuff, right? There are I can't tell you how many horror stories I've heard over the years of guys who thought it would be great, and it turned out to be not only a nightmare, but talk about losing your love of pro wrestling, having the book, and having that responsibility. I think being the best wrestler in the world is enough, right? And carrying a company, and injuries now playing a huge factor, and health concerns and health scares. Guys had a pretty fucking up and down time with that when it comes to AEW, and he didn't have to worry about that much in New Japan, in the sense of they were somewhat able to do what they wanted to do with, I can't say very little ramifications, because there was always that little push and pull that was going on in there, and the whispers of, they're going into business for themselves and they're cutting promos for their fucking internet show on our, all that fucking stuff. At the end of the day, if you're getting an 90% Kenny Omega, even if you're getting like an 80% healthy Kenny Omega, it's going to be fucking good. So his involvement in New Japan, where maybe 4 years ago I might have said, let's see what we can do without him. I don't know if he's worth the fucking headache. And New Japan obviously felt the same way, and the opportunities sprung up, and away they went. I welcome him with open arms. because it's only a plus. It's only a plus.
Right, so next up was... I've just been distracted by the end of this Arsenal match.
You're playing video games, aren't you?
Lose again. No, I'm watching Arsenal. We're losing to
again.
Yeah.
What's happened?
We should have signed some more attacking players. I think we've got a very muscular, functional team, but it's just lacking a bit of creative spark. Our captain and our most creative player, Martin Odegaard, has been out for a few months, and we don't really have an adequate replacement for him. That's the problem.
Where are you in the standings right
now? So this is the Champions League. So I think we're okay. Like this defeat is not putting us in danger of not qualifying, but I don't know, we're just not playing very well.
You're very mid right now.
Sort of part of a wider trend rather than sort of the one-off result that's concerning me. So last attack. Here we go. Oh, it's gone out. No, we're done. Now, let's talk about something I'm very excited to discuss, which is
Gay
the
sex.
sixth match, the Super Junior Gay Sex Championship.
Sorry.
No, the Super Junior Tag League Final Championship match with the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Kosei, Fujita, and Robbie Eagles defeating Catch 2-2, Francesco, Akira, and TJP. 15 minutes. I only went 15 minutes, Jesus. 15 minutes and 20 seconds. Ooh, this was so good. This was so good. And the thing is, I forgot how fucking good Catch 2-2 were when TJP isn't on his bullshit. Like, when he's actually doing what he's good at. This was just absolutely my kind of shit. Just non-stop action, incredible pace and dynamism, no filler, no dead time. You know, this wasn't just like a mindless spot fest either. There was a real sense of struggle with guys trying to fight out of each other's moves and avoid things and break up moves and counter things in a logical way. Like, everything flowed really well. It felt kind of like a video game fight in a good way. Just it had that sort of kinestheticism to it, rather than just being like a series of choreographed, disconnected high spots, which is a trap junior tag wrestling can often fall into, just like people taking turns doing moves to each other. One moment that really stuck in my mind was a brilliant near fall where the Ichiban Sweet Boys did, I think it was the Sweet Buster that had TJP down, and then Fujita just gets back to his feet. He's desperately trying to get back to his feet and block the Akira pin breakup attempt. So he staggers to his feet, but he just ends up going to the wrong side of the ring. And that split second of losing his bearings after he'd done the cutter allowed Akira to sneak in and break up the pin. It's like in football, a goalkeeper just takes like one half step in the wrong direction and gets completely wrong-footed by a shot. Just every part of this, there's so much thought and care and intelligent thinking went into every moment of this match to make it a thrilling and immersive experience. And I was honestly blown away by the speed and the intricacy and the excellent technical execution of sequences that I couldn't even dream of. This was just perfect tag wrestling. I'm not even going to say junior tag wrestling. It was perfect tag wrestling. And the final stretch between Robbie and TJP was unbelievably good.
Great.
And I praised both those guys a lot, but once all the big tag moves had been landed, all the high-flying stuff couldn't get the job done. Just these two veterans going back to basics and letting their quick wits and their mat wrestling have the final say. It was outstanding. This is one of my favourite matches of the year. Best tag match I've seen in years. Just bravo. Like, all the other guys in the division should be studying Robbie Eagles and TJP, like ringside with a clipboard and a pen, taking notes and watching how it's done. And I do want to talk about Fujita as well. And I'm curious to see your thoughts on him, like whether or not you think he looks like a top guy or if he's on that trajectory, because I don't think he looked out of place here with three elite workers. I thought his power spots, like the deadlift German, his chops, the moves he's picked up from Zack, like the O'Connor roll, and just all the small things like his sense of timing and his ring awareness is, I think, really impressive for a 22-year-old. We've got the four-way set up for Wrestle Kingdom. But first of all, just talk to me about the match.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'll give you this. This is more of a rhetorical question, mind you, but Can you remember a fucking bad Robbie Eagles match? I can't name one. And there is something pleasing in the sense of you see him occasionally, and when you do, you're always reminded of how fucking talented the dude is, which makes me want to see him more. But I worry, like, okay, so what do we do? How do we do this? What do we do to not lose that? So I'm kind of torn between, okay, let's bring him in for special occasion tournaments or what have you, junior focused things. But I would just love to see more of him because every
He's too
time
good for that, isn't he? He's too good not to have around full time.
You would think.
And I know he likes to do other stuff. He's got stuff going in his home promotions as well, but he's just so fucking good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, again, I'm hard pressed to even like, it was all right. Like I feel like that underrated in that sense of a guy who can deliver consistently. But again, when you give a trophy and win a tournament, how underrated are you? But love the match. I thought the match was stellar. TJP, once again, there's something to be said about a guy who's been there and done that. And you're right. When he's not on, as you like to say, when he's not on his bullshit, I don't think anybody could sit here and honestly say that he's not a talent for this promotion. Like he's a nice piece of the puzzle. Absolutely. No, I love that. I love Ichiban Sweet Boys. The name is a weird saying, but I think that tag team. It had me from when it was announced. It was my favorite watching the tournament, and the fact that they pulled it out was pretty nice. It was New Japan once again loves to find new and creative ways of having to do fucking trigonometry to figure out winners and losers and who moves on and what have you. But they figured it out, and they made something new and something fresh. No, New Japan has a stud in Fujita. There's no hesitation in my voice in the sense of he'll be a future champion. I just think that would just be such a dropping of the ball, and it's so obvious that how could you miss on that?
One thing I kind of skirted over when we were talking about Royal Quest that I think I did a disservice to was the fact that they had him pin Michael Oku, who is the ace of RevPro, in front of his home fans where he rarely loses.
Yeah.
Fairly recent heavyweight champion. And not only that, he is their heavyweight championship number one contender. He, I think, was it the day before or weeks before or something, won a number one contenders match to challenge Luke Jacobs for their heavyweight title and then gets pinned by Kosei Fujita. So I think that speaks volumes about how the company see him.
To me, he's like when we talk about young guys and musketeers and all that fucking horseshit. He's almost always in the conversation of, well, yeah, he's blue chip. He's a non-miss. And he'll be a guy that I think the company's going to lean on. Here's the thing, too. I don't know how we do this and how this gets done. I think it's going to be a very quick turnaround between juniors and him moving up. I really do. I can't see this dude being a junior for a long time. Like, I don't see this guy being like the cornerstone of juniors. I honestly feel like it's going to be a year or two of juniors, and he's moving right up. Like
they've got that ball rolling already. Because at the end of the Oiwa Shingo match, there was just that little moment where he's just staring at Shingo. So they're already thinking about it.
I don't see how you can't. Right? Like, name me another junior that has that not only presence, but like you can. It doesn't take much for you to close your eyes and see where he's going to be in 2 or 3 years, right? Like, and I will say this as well. I said close your eyes and think of another guy. Juniors are pretty fucking stacked. And as evident, as we talked about before, we were talking about how there's so much talent in that junior division, and so much, and the teams are very good. Like it doesn't feel like we're just shoehorning in guys on teams. Like it feels like true and honest.
It's so deep, the division. It's so stacked that we are both totally okay with them doing the 4-way at Wrestle Kingdom.
I can't believe they did it. Like, I can't believe they went with it. Like, it was a thing where it was, I'm saying they have so much talent, and I'm saying they have these teams that I would hate to see get lost in the shuffle, and then, after the tournament's done, then that's it, and blah, blah, blah. No, they're fucking going for it. They went for the 4-way. Again, we were talking 3-way. Oh, imagine if they did a 4. Wow, well, they got the talent, and I would not mind, and blah, blah, blah. Just last week, they fucking did it. That was one thing I texted you on. I was like, I can't believe they fucking did that. Good on them. Like, if we're ever going to have a fucking 4-way, these teams are it. I got no complaints. Let me get this out of the way. I got no complaints. Saturday, January 4th. From the fucking Tokyo Dome, these guys opening up a show and going balls to the wall for 10 minutes. No problem whatsoever.
Early holiday savings have arrived at Tanger Outlets. Discover the best gifts from your favorite brands, perfect for everyone on your list. And stack your savings with up to 70% off, plus an extra 15 to 25% off only during Tanger Style. Save at Polo Ralph Lauren, Old Navy Outlet, Under Armour, Skechers, J. Crew Factory, and more. Hurry in. These early holiday deals last through November 24th. Tanger Outlets. More savings, more cheer.
John says, this is an actual interesting question I saw poised on the Reddit forum. Who has had a better run as a team between Catch 22 and Bishamon?
That's a very good question. I would have to go Goto and Yoshihashi, Bishamon. Just from, maybe I'm misremembering, but it feels like they had a more of a longer run, I guess. So, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm actually thinking it out in my head. That's a very excellent question.
I will say Catch 22 are making a very strong late case for being Tag Team of the Year.
That's true too. I honestly think the majority of our votes for Tag Team of the Year are coming from junior division. I believe from the bottom of my heart. That is a very good question. I don't want to sit here and waste time thinking of an answer. So I will defer, but I might lean Yoshihashi Goto. I might lean that way. But excellent question.
B. Fran says, if I say I like TJP, will New Japan stop forcing him upon me? He's great. When he's not trying to do the Aswang nonsense, he is an excellent pro wrestler, and I think he proved that in this match. So we should all put a bit of respect on his name. Anyway, we move on to discussing the 7th match, which was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, where the champion Douki successfully defended against the challenger Master Wato in 22 minutes 7 seconds after a referee stoppage in the Douki Choki, the Italian stretch number 32. And we've come so far since 2020 when we had Master Wato looking like an absolute geek, getting attacked with the empty arena, Douki with a steel pipe. And that's one of the things that we love most about New Japan, isn't it? Seeing two guys look like absolute shit, but knowing that they could be at the top of the mountain with a bit of time and the right tweaks and hard work and just improving. You can't dig your heels in with wrestlers in New Japan because so quickly the progression can happen where now you're watching this match and thinking, yeah, these are two of the best guys in the division. And just the run that Douki has gone on this year it's unbelievable. Like, if anyone had suggested to me at the start of the year that he would beat Ishimori, Despi, Wato, and Hiromu twice, I would have had them committed to an insane asylum. Because he feels like the real deal now. He feels like the best wrestler in the division. And I thought also Wato looked fantastic coming back from a pretty serious injury, but he looked lean and muscular, serious, focused. Like he kind of sort of dialed back on the sort of blue element of the presentation where he looks like a serious pro wrestler now. He nailed all his moves. And again, coming back from a pretty bad injury, even before that, he had a tendency towards sloppiness, before he was hurt. But I thought good here, crisp, laid the strikes in, put in a really aggressive performance that I thought was a great foil for Douki's resilience, as Douki basically just waited for Wato to empty the tank and then ground him down with the Italian stretch number 32. Tremendous selling by Wato throughout both the knee, just these little moments where he's like, oh, is he tweaked his knee there? And you're not sure if it's real or if he's just selling it. And then the way that Wato sold the Italian stretch looked like absolute death. Like you can see the life escaping from his eyes in front of us. And one little thing, just the added touch of at the end of the match, Shoma Kato coming out and lifting up Wato's legs to get the blood flowing back to his head. Brilliantly pointed out by Walker Stewart on commentary. It's just those little things like that which just make it all the more immersive, and just a great match, like a love letter to the Javé style. All your grappling, your holds, your roll-up submissions. Just a great comeback performance from Wato. I feel my confidence in him is well-founded. I'm excited to see him mixing it up, even though he didn't win this time, but I want to see him wrestling guys like Fujita, Kevin Knight, and Robbie, and TJP, and Akira, and Despi, because to me, he looks like he's back better than ever. And how did you feel about the match?
He looked like night and day. Like he looked, and I'm speaking of Wato, he looked a lot more confident. He looked a lot more, I don't know, in his comfortable within his own skin. Is that what I'm looking for? Right where you would set the over-under number at like 2 or 3 of how many things are going to just be somewhat fucked up. And it really feel that I do, one thing that New Japan does, they love having those guys that first return back lose, and I kind of dig it in a sense of, Douki's been defending this fucking title and taking on all comers and the top challengers and beating them. And you're not just going to fucking walk in here after how many weeks and months on the shelf and take my title. Like I do like that logic. I really do. Now, some people might complain about that. And trust me, there are times where I might even as well, but I do dig it. Yeah. And I was thrilled with the fact that Douki's going into Wrestle Kingdom wearing the title. That was great because I don't think either of us expected that to happen. And getting Despi there at the Dome in a singles match so we can further cement his spot as a top guy in the junior division. I love it. I really do. I think he's been one of my favorite success stories in New Japan. The year he's had has been tremendous. Is he going to walk out of Wrestle Kingdom with the title? Okay, we can debate that later. But the fact that he's going in with that title is actually pretty amazing to me. And the fact that this could have been an opportunity that he fumbled and he wasn't able to make it work. Now, again, he's had plenty of pretty great dance partners, but fact that he's making it happen and making it work, couldn't be more fucking happy for the guy. Couldn't be more fucking happy for the guy. The guy's living the dream right now. Guy's living his dream right now. It's pretty fucking awesome. Match was great. I thought Wato, again, if we're tipping caps, he deserves some flowers, man. He deserves some flowers. He did not look out of place at all. And then once again, we have another little. It's amazing how well-defined not only the junior tag scene is, but even the junior heavyweight singles title scene. Like I hate to say this, but juniors are where it's at right now, I feel like.
Yeah, because we had Despy coming out at the end to challenge, and just the way he spoke about the juniors division and how much pride he takes in being one of the centerpieces of it. So I was a bit surprised that it was Despy coming out to challenge, because Douki's already beaten him. But I won't begrudge the rematch, even though I do think it's time for the division to continue moving away from the Despy Hiromu Ishimori era. They sold me on it with their conversation, just a great back and forth about how much has changed in the last 6 months. And now, rather than Douki trying to pull the upset against his mentor, he's dropped the San honorific. He's not saying Despy San anymore. And now he's accepting Despy's challenge. It's the other way around now. And Douki believes that he is now the best junior heavyweight in the world. Even the little touch of, at the end of the segment, they started playing Despy's music, and then Douki's like, no, cut that shit.
Right.
Play my music. I'm the champion. I just won this match. We're playing my music now. So I like the way we're coming back with the rematch now, but with the dynamics completely flipped on their head, and them sort of seeing each other, seeing as equals rather than one guy trying to get the upset over a heavy favourite.
And the one thing that you mentioned, it's nice, and we kind of want to get away from the similar junior pattern, the Hiromu, blah blah blah. But of all those that you mentioned, to me, the one that I don't mind, truth to be told, I don't mind at all. But if you're going to lump him in that group, is Despy. Like, to me, I feel like that's the best potential match for Douki. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm content. I'm content with that.
Okay. Eighth match, IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, was David Finlay defeating the challenger Taichi 23 minutes, 22 seconds after the overkill. And Taichi came out looking like $1 million. The outfit was a cosplay of Arlecchino from Genshin Impact. So
of course it was.
Sounds like a Starbucks drink. Did they do that with soy milk and a shot of vanilla? I love this match. I love the dynamics of it. I just like the way that in this contest, Taichi is an opponent for David Finlay that's not going to be intimidated or bullied or out-muscled by Finlay. And in many ways, sort of matching wrestling styles. There's a lot of similarities between the two. And what I love about this iteration of David Finlay, and I think he's got this sort of fully realised persona now, he knows who he is, doesn't immediately go for the shortcuts, right? He will spend the first half of the match standing toe-to-toe with anyone, and he'll slug it out. He'll try his best to overpower them. But if things get sticky, then he'll just, not cheating, but he'll pounce on a mistake to turn the tables, like that moment where they were on the ring apron and he just desperately pushed Taichi into the post with that kind of like flailing, almost desperate manner. His shit talking is unmatched. That really adds a layer to my enjoyment of his performances. And another feather in his cap for, I think, a very strong Wrestler of the Year case with a really good match here, because I think he's going to be up there, no doubt. And look, this guy has made absolute gold out of a string of defenses against veteran mid-carders who didn't have a hope of winning, let's be honest. And he's taken that, a string of challenges from Goto and Yoshihashi and Taichi, and somehow managed to use that to elevate this secondary title that was in the dirt when Nick Nemeth was holding it, and making it into feeling like a big deal. Like when we had the final confrontation there with Finlay and Tsuji and the white belt, and that announced of Wrestle Kingdom, then that feels like, we're getting back to the good old days of the Intercontinental title. And I think that's a testament to the outstanding work that David Finlay's done this year. And yeah, just really brilliant stuff there. And on the flip side, my annual futile plea for Taichi. Taichi's incredible. He is, in my opinion, like the most underrated, by far the most underrated and unsung guy on the roster. He's never going to get the push that he deserves, but everything he does is brilliant. The way he works the crowd is so good. He's got such babyface charisma that's almost unbelievable that he was once such a detested heel. So, fantastic match. They beat the shite out of each other. until the thing happens. I don't want to talk about the thing just yet. Please tell me, what did you think of the actual match between Finlay and Taichi?
So it was really good. You talked about Taichi feeling like, an underrated guy, and I would definitely put him in that realm. David Finlay might be. Again, I understand that he's holding this title that some might consider, right underneath the heavyweight, maybe a notch below, depending, wherever you want to rank your titles. Knock yourself out. I think he's underrated between people who do shit like this and talk about pro wrestling and, discuss it, whether it be online or with friends or what have you. I don't know what needs to be done for people to kind of wake up on this one. I know you had made a comment before about, you really get a gauge of people watching the product and maybe falling back on past New Japan Pro Wrestling history to form an opinion. I if you're listening to this show, you already know. I'm not sitting here and telling you that David Finlay is 1983 Ric Flair. I'm not sitting here telling you that he's heavyweight title run Okada. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. That being said, I don't think the dude gets enough flowers. I think he's had a very good year. And I know people kind of were hearing the term Wrestler of the Year and David Finlay in the same breath. I know people, aren't on board. And I'm sure there's a certain segment of people that, probably threw up in their mouth a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what needs to be done to help people fucking connect the dots. Because I feel like he's the one guy on this roster that it's been an uphill climb. And I think this year he's put it together. And I think there's a certain segment of the people who watch this product that can't quite give him that type of love. And I don't know why.
I think those people are going to be in for a rough 2025 because obviously we've got Tsuji challenging Finlay, which makes sense given their record this year. But Tsuji's 2-0. I don't think he's going 3-0. So they've got really great chemistry. And I've said before, the GHC title has got some shine on it now. It feels like a proper number 2 title. But I can see Finlay successfully defending this. I feel the players that he ultimately loses it to Yuya because he keeps talking about Yuya. I don't know what the prognosis is for his return, but that would seem to make the most narrative sense. But basically, at some point early 2025, I see Finlay losing that belt and then moving on to be world champion. That just seems inevitable for me now. And
You're calling a 2025 David Finlay big boy belt run.
New Japan Cup win, Sakura Genesis title win.
Ooh. My man Joel got a set of balls on him with the big time predictions. I love it. Yeah, trust me. Even you saying that, trust me, I know people kind of are taking a step back, kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Be ready for it. Be ready for it.
What more do you want to see from him? Right. What else does he have to do to prove that he belongs there?
The banger match, man.
He's been doing banger matches for the entire
half of the year against super duper banger match. That's true too, and you brought that up. Like he's taking on guys that, I guess if you're booking out the dream match scenarios, you probably wouldn't expect fantastic results from the people that he was in the ring with. But every week we talk about the people that he's in the ring with, and we're like, okay, it's 2024, and we're talking about Hiroki Goto, and fantastic. And we're talking about Yoshihashi, and we're talking about Taichi, and all these individual guys can go at certain points. And some, you're left like, again, it's 2024. I can't believe I'm saying this man's name in the same breath of great match, but here we are. Not for nothing, some of that credit's got to go to David Finlay too, it's not just all these individual performances by all these guys who can go. It's all these individual performances along, the common denominator in all this is David Finlay. Like, a lot of these guys have had a nice little singles run. Yeah, nothing massive, but like things that you would not have expected, that's all with David Finlay. So
yeah, he's such a brilliant foil to the beloved, earnest, babyface, veteran mid-card underdog. Mm-hmm. He's just perfect for being just an absolute vile piece of shit next to the guy that all the fans love, but no, not really going to win.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't hate to say it because it's a part of the history and it's all good stuff, but that's the curse you get when you have your Omegas and your AJs and all that stuff leading a faction that, I think a lot of Western fans might have been an entry point for a lot of them, Bullet Club stuff. And there's a certain, like, I don't know, an expectation of what a banger match should be. I think he's delivering it on it. And I don't know what else we need to do to hammer that point home, but I don't know. Maybe it is the big boy belt that makes it happen. Who knows? That'd be interesting. But he's had a great year, and he'll get, if he doesn't get votes for Wrestler of the Year, I'd be shocked.
All right, well, let's talk about the SANADA turn, because the thing finally happened. We've been sitting on that since August. So the first I heard of it, I was like, no fucking way. That is preposterous. But they made it work. And it was lampshaded by the comments in the presser the day before from Finlay talking about having the wolf in the pack and, does Taichi, do you recognise the wolf in your pack? It was, even despite them hinting heavily at it then, it was such a well-executed turn where SANADA comes out, he's cheerleading ringside to support his boy Taichi, the same way Taichi did for him when he won the New Japan Cup the year prior. Just everything is looking rosy. We've got Taka neutralising Gedo's interference. Taichi hits his big death move, Black Mephisto, crowd are on their feet, and you think, oh my goodness, the planets have aligned here. He might just do the unthinkable and win this title that finished. Does such a great job rebuilding. And that noise from the crowd when SANADA pulled out Marty Asami, just utter confusion and disbelief. And the match just goes totally bananas there, like goes totally off the rails. Taichi's looking around, he thinks it's Gedo. SANADA's just standing there with that inscrutable expression on his face, like the perfect face for the perfect moment. Like, that was the one time just like, yes, that stupid look on SANADA's face, that stupid emotionless, expressionless thing that he's got plastered all over his face, that absolute perfect spot for that and the perfect storyline moment. And Taichi doesn't know what's going on, and then Gedo starts grinning, and that moment, the slow unzipping of the jacket, the crowd losing their shit just as SANADA reaches for the zip. He just reaches for the zip, and everyone's going nuts because they know what's coming, but they don't want to believe. And just that mixture of like the roars and the shrieks when he reveals the War Dogs vest, and then Taichi's in denial. He's shaking his head. He can't believe he's getting betrayed again after what Kanemaru did to him. His heart's broken even before the shillelagh comes and finishes the job. Just a superbly executed turn. Now, is it going to be good long term? Is it going to be the right thing for SANADA? I don't know. Like, it's a wait and see for me. But I think heel SANADA might surprise people. I think he's seen, from the little I've seen so far, even before the explicit turn, I think he's got good instincts for being a shithead. And whilst Bullet Club is looking a bit bloated, I'm going to give it a chance. And I hope we do get something for it from Taichi. I don't know if it's going to be Taichi versus SANADA for Wrestle Kingdom. But yeah, I hope he does get something out of it. Taka and Taichi have said they're going to team up for World Tag Team. Presumably that would have been a spot for Taichi and Yuya, but obviously with Yuya injured, that's out the window. But yeah, tell me your thoughts, please, on the SANADA turn.
I mean, it was done to perfection, I thought. I'll tell you what, the one thing that I found pretty... And again, I don't want to pop a balloon and be a wet fart, but they're trying another thing with SANADA. It's, how many factions is this guy going to burn through? How many fucking things are we going to try with this? And you're right. This one might land, right? It might. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That's the best I can give you. But the actual turn itself, yeah, it was pretty well done. And I like the fact that it's not every day that you're waking up and seeing, turns and swerves and faction jumping and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it does seem like a lot with SANADA that they're trying to find something to do with the fucking dude. They did a good job here. They really did. It was really well constructed. And also, while you can kind of think aloud, all right, well, who else would they have done that with? Like, doesn't it speak volumes to Taichi that like he's this guy that's like this sympathetic babyface guy that is getting turned on and people turning their backs on him and all this shit? Nice little title match. Nice spot being the focal point of a turn. Yeah. Not bad. Not bad. I don't know where it goes in the sense of, okay, so he's in House of Torture and now what? But it might be decent. It could very well be decent. And I'll go so far as to say this. Him in Bullet Club, and if it's, War Dogs, what have you, that could be the shithousery might be the perfect landing spot for him. That might be right where we need him. A guy who has a name, has a resume, but now we're kind of middle of the card heel group. I don't think I'm complaining about that at all, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, a few questions about this. Ruff says, with the SANADA turn, should just 4 guys merge into Hontai? And Max says, I actually think SANADA turning heel will help out a bit. I don't see him as a main event player anymore, but could feud with Tsuji down the line. I see him in the global title picture. So yeah, I totally agree. I don't think he is going to be in the world title picture, but I think he's going to be a nice rival to feud with the younger guys because, yeah, maybe they're sort of lacking on the heel element because you got your Finleys, you got your Evils, and maybe sort of trying to stack up, put SANADA on that side as a foil for your Oiwas and Sujis and Yuyas and guys like that.
Right. That would be the ideal scenario for me. Yeah.
Okay, main event then. It was Zack Sabre Jr. defeating the challenger. Let me scroll and find it. Shingo Takagi, 29 minutes, 28 seconds by Sabre Driver. You've been tangoed special. What did you think of the main event, Damon?
Good. Very good. Shingo's steady hand, so I don't think anybody was worried about the quality of the match.
Knee selling was superb, I think.
What was that? The knee selling?
His knee selling was brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate this to... Let's put it this way. If anybody's worried about attendances and him as champion and blah, 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 all that stuff. I think that vanishes a little bit watching him in the ring. I find him to be now at another level with the title. I love him as champion. Love it. I don't think anybody was sitting here, though. I know that we had talked about the what ifs, but I will say this: that like the turn of SANADA and stuff, like it just felt like okay, well, to me anyway, I didn't think Shingo had a chance of winning the title. I don't know. I didn't like. There was no point where I was like, oh, that's we're looking at a title change here, which. I don't know. If I'm for in the enjoyment of a wrestling match, I kind of like, especially a championship match. But in the same breath, it was a little bit of a relief of, oh, okay, well, Zack's going into fucking Wrestle Kingdom as champion. So I did dig that.
And I suppose the more notable stuff came after the match.
Shocking.
Shota Umino came out And like I said, just a really interesting comparison with them cheering him in the fourth match, playing underdog against SANADA, but then coming out after the main event to stake his claim for the Wrestle Kingdom main event. The reaction from the crowd is just very much a, not you.
Yeah.
Not in this spot, stay in your lane. That kind of reaction. And, you know, the product's leaning into it. They're acknowledging his divisiveness. And I don't know if this was the plan all along or if they're just running with it, because it's a bizarre way to book him as a Tokyo Dome main event challenger, because he's got very little kayfabe credibility to be in that spot. And I'm not ready to start throwing flowers at New Japan for me doing the heavy lifting and fantasy booking and projecting some kind of brilliant subversive anti-hero heel turn story arc in my own brain, because I've done that before. Like, we're often guilty of doing that, but projecting the narrative and intentionality in places where it doesn't exist. Now, there might be an outcome where we look at this in retrospect and go, oh yeah, no, that was brilliant. They pulled it off. It's genius. But in the moment, what we're looking at, in a kayfabe sense at least, is the least credible Tokyo Dome main eventer in the modern era of New Japan. And we hope that's by design. But Bad Fraser on our Discord shared this. So let's just look at what Shota Umino has done this year. So, and this is coming off the back of the failed World Tag League run with Ren Narita. So this year, Shota declared himself the ace and then immediately lost to Evil, going 0-5 in title challenges. Jack Perry eliminates him in round 1 of the New Japan Cup. He loses a title shot to Moxley, so he's 0-6 now. No big moments domestically. He's presented like he's still Moxley's young boy April through June, compared to Yota Tsuji winning the New Japan Cup. 0 main events in the G1 Climax. He's knocked out before the final night. He's eliminated in night 13 in a tournament that had a semi-final format, so there's guys in third place going through, and he was eliminated in night 13. He finished 9th in his block with a loss to the guy who finished last. Then he wins a random gimmick Rambo, starts carrying around a fake IWGP title belt that a fan made for him, starts doing the politician thing of kissing babies. That is an extraordinary way to book your Tokyo Dome main eventer. Like, he does not look or sound like a typical babyface. Like, if this is intentionally building him as a delusional, undeserving challenger who, you know, a guy who thinks he's the ace but is actually reviled, then that's extremely bold, considering that ideally you want to sell lots of tickets to your Tokyo Dome show on January 4th. Like, if falling on a Saturday notwithstanding. So I'm struggling with this one, because I respect them finally pulling the trigger on him after years of fucking about, and finally making some gutsy moves to elevate the new generation. And I would love to be on the train of believing that this is some kind of 4D chess, galaxy brain like master plan that is going to unlock his potential, crack the problem with his whole presentation. But I'm not sure I've got that level of blind faith in him or the company, because, like I said, I've done that before with other things that just turn out to be mindless, chaotic booking. And all of this led to the truly bizarre segment where we got Ricochet coming out doing a springboard clothesline in dress shoes and a 3-piece suit, and then the crowd were into that. He's attacking Zack, and he's lining up Zack. He's about to attack him with a big move, and then Shota Umino makes the save. And then the crowd are booing that. They're saying, no, fuck off, get. We want to see what Ricochet was about to do to Zack. They didn't want any of that. They had no interest in that. And then it really kicked off after that. Zack turns on Shota, kicks him out of the ring. And then Shota turns on Zack and is standing over him, yelling, don't you dare look past me. And then the post-match stuff, Shota's staring into the camera. He looks like a serial killer, like just with these cold, dead eyes saying, I am the ace, I'm going to do it. Don't care what the fans think. Really just one of the weirdest ends to a show. Like the weirdest. No, it's not strictly speaking the go home show for Wrestle Kingdom, but that is setting up what your main programs are going to be January 4th and January 5th. Very odd. Now, I will say this. I'm infinitely more intrigued by this than I was by last year's main event, Naito SANADA, or the year before that, Okada versus Jay White for that matter. But I'm also very anxious about how it plays out, both attendance, match quality, fan reception. And people I do respect a lot have reached out to me and are very excited by this match. They think it's going to be one for the ages. They're convinced that both guys are determined that Tokyo Dome main event January 4th is going to be the be-all and end-all, and they're going to just put everything they've got into it to make it really, really special. And for the booking...
Why is Michael Craven texting you?
And look, I respect the audacity of it. Like, they could have easily just gone for, I don't know, just build Naito versus Zack instead of doing that earlier at King of Pro Wrestling. Just drag that out and make that Wrestle Kingdom. They could have easily done that. So I respect it, but I'm also very scared.
Yeah. They have done a really an excellent job. You said that was Fraser from our Discord. Excellent job there to map it out and lay it all out. Like, what do we like in the kayfabe sense? There's not a person alive that's like, yeah, that guy is definitely in line for a title shot. And in, reality, we'll call it, like, nobody's asking for this. Nobody's wanting this. Obviously, the crowds in Osaka were, doing exactly what we thought. And it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. They had a year to do this, Joel. That's where I'm not blaming him per se. I'm blaming the company, because you are a pro wrestling company, and your responsibility is to make them a star. And that's a combination of booking, of course, combination of putting them in prominent spots, not making them look like a boob, as well as the wrestler. And I don't think that there was a person going into this year that was like, Shota stinks. Shota doesn't have it. Shota's not a guy. I think to a person, everybody was like, yeah, the potential's there. But what have they done?
You remember us after that match he had at last year's power struggle with Ospreay? I say, what are they doing? He should have beaten Ospreay. They should have pulled the trigger on him. That was the moment. They've missed the boat. They fucked it up. We want to see this guy elevated.
He's done nothing. He's done nothing. And I'll go so far as to say there really hasn't been a match that's been like, whoa, knock my fucking socks off. And, to see him in the ring in a big spot, you're like, okay, let's fucking go. Like, there's not that energy's not there. The energy that's there is why is this guy here? And why is he being force-fed down our throats? That's on the company, though. Like, to me, that once again, they had a year to make him a champ. Now, did they do this intentionally? Did they make this guy out to be a guy who, as you called it, is delusional? And he's fucking, he doesn't deserve the spot, but he thinks he does, and he's going to force his way in and what have you. But like, there's still work to be done to help cross that bridge. And I don't even think we're there yet. Like, it's just a matter of a guy that's just been showing up and saying, okay, I'm going to be here. That's one major complaint that I hear. It's like, these guys just show up in the fucking ring and challenge. And it's like, well, okay. And a lot of times you could be like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. He beat him in G1 and, there was a match in fucking New Beginnings and whatever, right? Like, how is this a thing, I guess? Like, that's the biggest question mark. Like, how is this a thing? Unless, like I said, they're building up to this to all happen here at Wrestle Kingdom, and they got something up their sleeve. Because I can't imagine them being like, okay, we've mission complete. We've made this guy into a guy, because it's nowhere near that yet. And unless, like I said, they got something up their sleeve. Now, I will say this: I don't think we were clued in at all on Ricochet. I wasn't. I don't think it was shared anywhere. Like, so that was a nice surprise. That was a pretty fun fucking surprise. It got ruined by Shota. like it was like Well, like it was like, just get out of the fucking ring. It's like the guy who wants to be in a band but can't play any instruments, so he's just going to get on stage anyway and play the fucking tambourine. Like, all right, it's great, way to go. You're not in the band as much as you want to be. That's not good for your biggest show of the year and your heavyweight championship match. Right now, that does have me scratching my head. Again, it's November 6th, January 4th. A little bit of time to figure something out. But to me right now, like, I'm really thinking back on main events at Wrestle Kingdom, and yeah, I'm hard pressed to find a guy that's in that spot that's like built this way by the promotion itself. I mean, there are guys that pop in the main events that, okay, maybe they didn't do it in a New Japan ring, but they have such a resume that you're just like, okay, just, makes sense. Fine. No, yeah. Two guys that are considered some of the best in the world. Like, nobody's putting Shota on that list of best wrestlers in the world, right? He doesn't have that resume. He fucking can't get out of fucking, again, he's eliminated by 913 in G1.
Okay. Now, let me throw this at you. So, without going through it all again, do you think that there is a chance that the incident that happened with Shota messed up original plans that they had for him? Like, maybe he was originally booked to win the G1, like, for example, and that thing that happened with him made them have to pivot and mess things up.
Which thing?
The thing with the guy.
The thing with the guy and the we're talking behind the curtain things, correct?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Joiner Deli on the Discord. You know all this. Maybe. We always said that there were times where it felt like he was being punished. Right? There were times where we're just like, oh, that doesn't make much sense. Like, didn't he fucking like open up like a recent show, like in a multi-man tag? And I mean, he got the win, but like, or did he get the win? I don't even like. Again,
yeah, we were saying on this show, this feels like a punishment spot.
Right. This feels like a punishment spot. Again,
I don't think this is some big long-term master stroke booking plan. I think shit's gone wrong and there's pieces missing, and now they're sort of running with it. They're leaning into it. And at the end of the day, I don't really think it matters what the intentionality is or whether there's a big sort of grandiose narrative sleight of hand or big turn or whatever to make us go, oh, yes, I see what they were doing. I think at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to how he performs in that Tokyo Dome main event and whether he carries himself like a top guy. That's all it comes down to.
But he's never done it before, and you're doing it on the biggest stage that you got.
Yes.
Like, that's a lot of pressure.
He's done it once. He's done it once where I thought, yes, he's got it. But that was against Will Ospreay. So, big asterisk there.
I could have that. You know what I mean? Like, me and Will in a match, he'll fucking make me look great.
Basically, I don't think the company care. Like, I don't how they're presenting. Is he a face? Is he a heel? Is he turning? Or is he delusional? Blah, blah, blah. I don't think they care. Just, can he perform at that level and look like a top guy? I think that's all the company care about.
Okay. And I think the jury's still out. I think another part of this that people are kind of, I don't want to say afraid to bring up, but maybe don't want to bring it up, is the nepotism angle. Do you think it's playing a role in this?
Yeah, again, I think this is one of the natural circumstances, and I think they're running with it.
Do you think that's a bum rap on him, though? Like, do you like?
Definitely.
Look, yeah. I mean, I feel bad for him in that spot because he can't control that. But yeah, I can't lie. I mean, it's been said a number of times about that certain element of what we're dealing with. And the fact that it's not clear and defined of who he is and his role in the company and his ability to be a guy in a main event in Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, there are people that are always going to be like, wow, if his dad wasn't a guy who wears colorful shoes in the ring, we wouldn't give a fuck. So it is a bad spot to be in. But again, a lot of times that turns into great heel shit. Imagine him turning on his dad. His dad's going to referee that fucking match, right?
I just don't think there's going to be an explicit heel turn because he is still
I don't know what else they do then.
Liked by the significant section of the fan base, the women and the kids. They still really like him. So I think they're sort of trying to have their cake and eat it by doing some stuff to give a bit of something to sort of the more kind of hardcore, grumpy male fan base, whilst also not having him explicitly being a bad guy to turn off the kids and the female fans who are enjoying his work quite nicely as it is. Thank you very much.
I think it's easier to turn him heel. I think it's easier to have a kid hate the fucking guy than force feed it just for that. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like all this has to end in him turning heel. It just, I can't imagine him just being like, okay, well, that's that. You know what I mean? Because he's, all right, I'll throw this out here. I think as we saw, and then them announcing matches, like there's no shot Zack's losing this title, right? Because he's going to defend it the next fucking night, right?
Yeah, we had a question on that. Max says, I don't see Zack losing the title anytime soon. I'm guessing Finlay loses the global to Tsuji and is possibly the next challenger to Zack. New Japan needs to line up challenges quickly. I wish they'd speed things up a bit and elevate the young guys. I don't want to be impatient, but they need to step on it a bit. Being methodical isn't a bad thing, but they're running low on challengers. But yeah, I don't think Zack is losing this title. Now, the Ricochet match is set up as a special singles match. So I don't know if that is something where if Zack successfully defends, then that becomes a title match. I mean, I don't know. Then what do you do with Shota at Wrestle Kingdom?
Right.
Do you pair him up with Mox again? Because he's been talking a lot about Moxley. So do you do a Moxley rematch? I mean, I still think we've been lacking a Moxley Umino match where Moxley just beats the absolute shit out of Shota and makes him bleed and just breaks him down into nothingness. I think that would do a lot of good for everyone. But,
how about him winning?
Yeah, there's a lot of question mark. Well, no. I don't know.
Come on.
It could happen.
I mean, it is Mox. And he doesn't really have a tendency to lie down in the New Japan ring. But, like, if he's going to beat anybody to be the ultimate dickhead, I can't think of anybody else. It's tailor-made. Like, the seeds are planted on the 4th and the 5th. Give him Mox. That'd be the way I go.
Yeah, I can see it.
Maybe fucking knocks out his dad or some shit. Or, I don't know. Who knows? I can't imagine.
How are we feeling about Ricochet? I know you touched on it. Lou says, don't know how to feel about Ricochet being Zack's next challenger. Can you pull off a flippy style match that Ricochet is known for? I like it. It's weird, and I wasn't expecting it, but I think it's cool and unexpected. I think I'd much prefer this than like Okada or Ospreay coming back to challenge. And I don't, maybe this is like a late replacement thing. It might not have always been the plan, but it sounds like such a weird styles clash that I'm really into it. I like it. I think it's a good move.
I do too. And I think this, again, the flashy high spot moves he's known for. I mean, let's not, try to dance around that. Sure. But again, don't discredit the fact that he can probably work a lot of different styles. You know what I mean? Like I trust Ricochet. I got no problem with that. And it's new, and it's fresh, and it's it did get people talking, and he's got name recognizability. No, I was at first I was genuinely surprised because we were not clued in any way, shape, or form. And two, all the things I talked about before. He's a guy who can fucking go. what on paper might seem like a crazy Fire Pro Wrestling kind of deal. I think Ricochet's very underrated when it comes to other aspects of his game. He looked good. Zach looks good. No, I'm digging it. I think this is a great match. Again, I don't know how you have him lose the title and then have this match, but I think aside from that, I think I'm 1,000% into it.
Fun little trivia moment for you here. So, Ricochet's last appearance at Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Kingdom. Can you remember what it was?
Was it the match with, like, the multi-man junior match with Ospreay, where Ospreay climbs up the fucking rail, the lading rig?
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
Let me guess one more time.
So it was. Do you want another guess?
One more. Was he in a Rumble? No, he was defending the Never title, wasn't he?
He was defending the Never Six-Man titles at Wrestle Kingdom 11. Can you remember? So he was champion going into that.
Yeah.
As you say, can you remember who his partners were?
It was Was it Tanahashi? Was one of them?
No, Tanahashi was.
No, not going into Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, that's dumb. That was dumb. Was it the Briscoes?
No.
Who was it?
It was Satoshi Kojima and David Finlay.
Jesus Christ.
And that was under the banner of Taguchi Japan. That was a Never Openweight six-man gauntlet match. So we had LIJ, which is Bushi, Evil, Sanada, Finlay, Ricochet, and Kojima. The Chaos team of Jado, Will Ospreay, and Yoshihashi.
Holy shit.
And the Bullet Club team, Bad Luck Fale, Hangman Page, and Yujiro Takahashi.
My goodness. Well, how much we have grown. How much, seriously, that's crazy. What a fucking crazy match. All right, there you go. It is fun to kind of look through those undercards sometimes, and you're like, oh my God. Wow. Remember ACH? Was it ACH doing the Tiger Mask gimmick? The
Tiger the Dark,
Tiger?
yeah.
Yeah. That was crazy. Kota Ibushi running around with a mask on. Good times. Tokyo Dome. I always, I can't believe we're already
You've
here.
mentioned Ibushi there, and I'm going to use that to pivot into the question from Antonio. It says, sorry for asking this during the Sporting versus City game, but my question is something Damon didn't want to admit, which was...
What?
Was Obari right in getting rid of Kota Ibushi? And what's your guys' thoughts on Ibushi decline post NJPW and his fallout with DDT and the whole situation? I'm saying, yes, he was right to get rid of Ibushi, and Ibushi's looking like a little shit stirrer, isn't he?
Well, I mean, again, I don't even. I think it was more Kikuchi that had the fallout online after the Ibushi ran. I've never dodged a question. Let me be very fucking clear here.
You cowardly question dodging
son of a bitch! How dare you, Antonio? I've never dodged anything. No, why would I dodge it? No. Was he right in getting rid of him? Again, it was more, I felt like he had the meltdown. Like he was hurt. His shoulder was hurt. And then he had the fucking online meltdown where he was just tweeting out craziness. And the biggest heat that he had was with Kikuchi, if I'm remembering it properly. And again, I'm only judging it from that moment. Like that to me is foul. You know, like you can't fucking do that. Sorry, you can't fucking do that. I don't care how sad your mom is. You can't fucking go off on a fucking tangent like that. He did, and that was that. And in hindsight, between the injury and the fact that he couldn't really train, and that Noah performance was one of the worst ever. And everything else on top of it, I don't know if it was like a conscious decision thing where it was like, yes, we got to cut our ties immediately right now. That's it. No, we're done. Or a slow burn kind of thing while he was injured. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody thinks that was a bad deal or a wrong thing to do. And I don't think it was a firing. Like I it felt a lot like he's injured and we're just going to kind of turn our backs and he's going to turn our backs on us and that's going to be that. But no, I mean, what else were you going to do with Kota Ibushi? Not for nothing. Like, I feel like that time had passed. And again, the injuries were the major thing, and his lack of being able to train and all that stuff. So yeah, no. How dare you, Antonio?
A little note here backstage. Shingo says he wants to win World Tag League, despite also being never champion. He says he'll team with Xander Khan again or anyone else around the world who wants to team up with him. So there's that. Before we go, let's have a quick preview of Fighting Spirit Unleashed.
All right.
Which will be taking place November the 8th in Lowell, Massachusetts.
I've been there.
So we will have Mustafa Ali versus Leo Rush, David Finlay versus Kevin Knight. Okay. That'll be good. Finlay versus Kevin Knight. Kenta versus Ryohei Oiwa.
Kenta?
West Coast Wrecking Crew in their everlasting feud with Dirty Work, Fred Rossett and Tom Lawler in a best 2 out of 3 Falls Tag Team match.
Jesus Christ.
We've got Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste defending their strong openweight tag team championship against the Grizzled Young Veterans, James Drake and Zach Gibson. We have a 4-way match to determine the number 1 contender for the Strong Women's Championship, where we've got Koguma versus Hazuki versus Trish Adora versus Anna Jay. And we have a question from the Stardom cast that says, how familiar are you with Hazuki and Koguma, and who is your favourite to win the number 1 contendership 4-way? I'm familiar with Hazuki. I thought she retired, but I guess she's come back now. So I know her, so I like her, and I hope she wins. And we have Konosuke Takeshita against TJP, which is for the AEW International Championship. Gabe Kidd was, whilst talking about Kenny Omega, also talked about Konosuke Takeshita. So keep an eye on that one. I think there might be something there. And main event does include Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd defending his strong openweight championship against Kosei Fujita.
I dig that. I think the card is very hit or miss. And sometimes when you go over these shows, I can't stop but think, why are we talking about these shows? These shows are not New Japan shows. You know what I mean?
They're non-canon.
Right. Again, I think I would, 50% of those matches I could give a flying fuck about. I don't know if I'm going out of my way. The main event sounds pretty tasty, to be quite frank. Anything else on that show that's getting you fucking excited?
No, it's got that kind of Royal Quest aura of kind of weird, interesting matches, but you know who's going to win.
Like, do I really want to see Fred Rosser and again, the same feud, and now in a 2 out of 3 falls match? Stretch it as long as we fucking can, can't we? There's nothing else we can do with them.
Can we see them wrestle other tag teams?
Anything else? Like, do they have to wrestle each other?
Each other until the rocks melt and the seas burn.
They're the new Tully Blanchard, Dusty Rhodes, for crying out loud. And listen, a Kenta sighting? Jesus Christ. Kenta. Come on. What are we doing? This is a nonsense show.
We're having a great run in New Japan with no Kenta and Chase Owens.
Oh,
do you think
fuck yes, they are.
Tag League?
Yeah. Do you think they're back? No, there's no way. Do you think Kenta and Chase Owens?
I'm going to say yes, they probably are. But if World Tag League is announced and there's no Chase Owens, do you think we're done with Chase Owens?
I'll never say never that they're done, but I would say don't wait by the phone. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be in Tag League where, they have a tendency to bring people back from the dead. If anything happened in there, I can't imagine any real reason to bring him in other than we're going to pop him in because we need placeholders for a fucking Rumble or some shit like that. But even then, I'm like, you get so many guys on that roster, do you really need to bring him in? And I know people love to pick on Chase and all that shit. I think there was a time that he wasn't somebody that I'm actively turning off, but I'm just kind of like, okay. I think it's just run its course, to be quite honest with you. If they bring back Kenta and Chase Owens for World Tag League, whew, God bless them. God fucking bless them.
Get him out of here.
All right. So that's strong, right? Anything else we need to talk about? We're good?
No.
All right. You going to bed?
Yeah.
All right. Me too.
It's Ambonic time. I'm going to play a bit of Wario Land, play a bit of Pokemon Throwback, maybe a bit of Tekken 3.
Fantastic.
That's what I'm doing.
Living the life. Good for you. All right. We'll see you next week.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the #1 show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. Episodes drop every other Monday where we discuss the biggest Joshi news, review shows, and preview the hottest upcoming Joshi action.
So whether you're a new fan or an old fan, we've got something here for you at Jumping Bomb Audio.
Check us out on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.